Jackson Radio Show.
Yesterday, the family of Sergeant LaDavid Johnson, including his childhood sweetheart, his wife Maisha, laid their Green Beret to rest in a ceremony in Cooper City, Florida. The 25-year-old was one of 4 Special Forces soldiers killed in an ambush in Niger on October 4th, under circumstances that are still murky and under investigation. Sergeant Johnson was remembered by friends and family as a young man whose friends nicknamed him the Wheelie King for his love of riding bikes, and whom his staff sergeant described as a man who always put his family first. Among the speakers at his funeral was Congresswoman Frederica Wilson. And while she was helping to eulogize Sergeant Johnson, Donald Trump, the commander-in-chief, was at one of his golf courses where the Secret Service pays him to protect him at taxpayer expense. And he was tweeting insults at the Congresswoman and the Democratic Party.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. That was Joy Reid's intro on the story about a Green Beret. What's funny about that intro, interestingly funny, is that, well, it's not, I mean, it's humorous. But what are you guys looking at me for? I'm trying to explain it. It's humorous in the sense that it's so one-sided. It's so slanted. Now, look, Joy Reid's a leftist. I get it. But this idea that while this funeral was going on, the president was doing something on his off time, playing golf. And then she says the Secret Service is paying him. How's the Secret Service paying him? I mean, do you even read? It's funny that they put this stuff in a teleprompter and these trained monkeys just read it. Yeah, that's what Joy Reid is. She's just a trained monkey. And some leftist wrote this, and she probably gave some input and didn't even look at it for, is it factually correct? It's completely, even if you go on opinion, fine, write what you want about the president, but it's factually incorrect to say that the Secret Service is paying the president to be there. What's he talking about? But all the implications of he was golfing while this funeral was going on. Let me tell you, when Obama was golfing, there was a funeral going on somewhere. There was something devastating going on somewhere. When Barack Obama was partying with Beyonce, let me tell you what was happening. 4 Americans were being killed in Benghazi. Do you think Joy Reid is going to look at that? Just the framing of these arguments is enough to make you go, seriously? But it gets worse. She brings this lady on, and all of this is a distraction because it's now Frederica Wilson has been wronged. The left, what's funny, when they make a lie, when they create a lie, set a narrative, a fake news narrative, they go all out. The president disrespected this woman's husband. Because sure, Donald Trump hasn't made that phone call enough times. He obviously doesn't care about the military. We know this from his actions, right? Not. So he makes a phone call to a military widow and says something disrespectful. Maybe, just maybe, people are hearing what they want to hear. Maybe, just maybe, Barack Obama could have said identically what Donald Trump said, and Frederica Wilson would be lauding the man. I'm just guessing. Maybe they wanted to hear where Donald Trump is saying your husband made the choice to make the ultimate sacrifice by signing up for this and gave his life. You want to hear that as a negative. He's disrespecting my husband. Because, let me tell you something. Black folks in this country have been taught to hear, to see, to feel, whatever emotions do we have, touch. Everything is racist. Everything. The first 2 segments that I've talked about today in this broadcast has been around racism, the cry of racism for everything. Donald Trump going after football players, taking a knee. It's because it's racist. No, it's because it's un-American. It's that simple. But see, all this stuff is going to work against him. Frederica Wilson comes on. I'm not even going to play the clip. I'm going to play one last piece of it when we get a little further on here after I've explained some other stuff. But she comes on to talk about all the work she's done in Africa. We need to play that part. So let's get that clip.
And I want people to understand
what is actually happening in Africa and try to connect the dots, because I think this is going to be this administration's Benghazi. This is going to be Trump's Benghazi, Trump's Niger. And they need to concentrate on what happened, and what is happening.
Let's stop it there, because I want to get into the irony of her saying that this will be Trump's Benghazi, which means that what? He gets away with it? Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. That was Representative Frederica Wilson saying that Niger is going to be Trump's Benghazi. How so? How so? Let me. The backdrop of this is they sent these troops over to help find the criminals, Boko Haram, the terrorist group that's an Al-Qaeda based or is Islamic based, that's kidnapping Christian kids, killing them, and doing all kinds of unthinkable tragedies in Nigeria. And so that is going to be Trump's Waterloo. What are you talking about? It's ridiculous. So she and Alcee Hastings, another congressional black circus clown, are trying to get to the bottom of it. So we've got our next thing that the left, they're setting you up. Here's going to be the next scandal. And Trump's looking at it like, look, military does what it does. We've deployed these troops. These troops understand the risk, and 4 people died. Do you think he isn't concerned about it? But here's what's interesting about the people who died. They were troops. These weren't counseled people. These weren't people in harm's way that Donald Trump neglected. These are troops. And the biggest issue for these ethnocentric racists is, well, how did he end up a mile away from his people? Yeah, let's get to the bottom of it. But let me tell you something. It isn't because his fellow soldiers went, you know what? He's black. Let's leave him a mile away. And as they would say with Michael Brown, they left that boy body out there for 4 hours in the sun. That's what they want you to believe, is that there's some big conspiracy now in the military to cover up the racism rampant in the military. By the way, that would be the same racism that he inherited from Barack Obama, would it not? God, these people are incorrigible. That's the backdrop. So watch when I tell you, this thing will shift from the Russians, the witch hunt of Trump, to Niger, which I got to tell you, I love the fact that Niger is missing one G, because boy, that sticks in the psyche of the left. But then I want to finish this. I'm not even going to play the rest of the stuff where she's talking about the controversy, because the biggest controversy of everything that she said is the fact that she mentions, I'm focused on Africa. Members of the Congressional Black Circus are focused on Africa, dealings in Africa. I dare you to do this. I dare you to go look at the record of any member of the Congressional Black Caucus during the time that they've been in office, decades, most of them. Go look at District 30 for Eddie Bernice Johnson. We played something from her the other day where she was talking about women, the women's movement, feminism, and how women can avoid the Weinstein situations. And by the way, I agreed with her. But I want you to go look at the record of her area of Dallas and how it is in comparison to where it was when she took over. If it weren't for gerrymandering, you would see the worst situation in history when you go look at these blacks and where they rule. Here's what they do to gerrymander. They will take, like in Dallas, using that as an example, they've put a little finger into the gay area, an area called Oak Lawn, and gave that over to Eddie Bernice Johnson. Because if she was only voted in the area where she does where there's predominantly black and where they vote her in, it would look like hell. And that's true of practically every one of these Congressional Black Circus clowns. Wherever they rule, it's got the highest crime rate. It's got the worst schools. It has the fewest black businesses. It has the worst housing. the lowest per capita income of the city. I could go on. Highest teenage pregnancy, highest high school dropout rates, and on and on. It's the worst in the city, period. It's worse than the Hispanics. It's certainly worse than the Asians. And it's worse than the whites. And you can be guaranteed the majority of their of the constituents are black. It'll be 70%, 80% black, and they'll do 20% in a nice area. You should look at the fingers it isn't like a square map. They finger in the good neighborhoods to balance out how bad it is in their neighborhoods. They will take over a Jewish neighborhood or a predominantly white neighborhood, but never more than 20-25% of the people. That's how they do it. We'll be back.
Kevin Jackson
on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.